Today we're talking about a super cool trick that's going to help us figure out how long it's going to take for us to double our money. If you follow this process, you can save more money in the early time. Before starting this video, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you will never miss out any latest updates from us. Now, this trick is called the Rule of 72, and it's really simple. All you have to do is take 72 and divide it by whatever interest rate you're earning, and that will tell you how many years it will take to double your money. So, let's look at a quick example. Let's say you have $1,000 and you put it into a savings account that pays you 8% every single year. Now, using the rule of 72, you would simply take 72 divided by 0.8%, and that equals 9. So why does this work? Well, this works because it's based off of something called compound interest. And we actually have a whole video dedicated to explaining what compound interest is and why it's so powerful. But to sum it up simply, let's say you earn 8% every single year. That means that if you have $1,000, after 1 year, you'll have $1,080. Then the next year, you'll have $1,166. Then the next year, you'll have $1,234, and so on and so forth. You can see how quickly your money starts to add up, because you're earning interest not only on your original $1,000, but also on the interest that you earned in previous years. That's what makes it so powerful. So what's great about the Rule of 72 is that it gives you a good estimate on when your money will double. Between 6% and 10%, it's almost always accurate. Anything above 10%, it's less accurate. And anything below 6%, it's also less accurate. So let's take a look at a few examples just to see how this would play out. First one, let's talk about a savings account. Savings accounts typically pay you 0.5% to 2% every single year. Now that might not sound like much, but over time, it will add up. So let's say you have $1,000 and you put it into a savings account that pays you 2% every single year. Using the rule of 72, we'll take 72 divided by 0.2%. That equals 360. So it would take you 360 years for your $1,000 to double. Now, obviously, most of us are not going to live that long. But it's still good to know that even though you may not see huge gains from a savings account, over the long run, it will add up. Next, let's talk about index funds. Index funds are a lot more popular these days because you can earn a decent amount of interest. Plus, you can do things like buy fractional shares. So let's say you have $1,000 and you want to put it into an index fund that tracks the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has historically averaged about 10.5% every single year. Now, again, past performance does not guarantee future performance, but it's still good to see how it would play out if you were to invest in something like the S&P 500. So using the rule of 72, we'll take 72 divided by 10.5%. That equals 6.86 years. So if you were to invest $1,000 into an index fund that tracks the S&P 500 and you earn 10.5% every single year, it would take you about 6.5 years to double your money. Next, let's talk about crypto. Crypto is a little bit more volatile than stocks, so the returns are a little bit higher. However, there are some coins that have been around longer than others. So let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has historically averaged about 16.8% every single year. So using the rule of 72, we'll take 72 divided by 16.8%. That equals 4.5 years. So if you were to invest $1,000 into Bitcoin and you earn 16.8% every single year, it would take you about 4.5 years to double your money. Last but not least, let's talk about individual stocks. Individual stocks can be a little bit more risky, but they also have the potential for higher returns. Now, the nice thing is that the stock market as a whole has averaged about 10.5% every single year. So using the rule of 72, we'll take 72 divided by 10.5%. That equals 6.86 years. So if you were to invest $1,000 into an individual stock and you earn 10.5% every single year, it would take you about 6.86 years to double your money. As you can see, the higher the interest rate, the faster your money will multiply. The lower the interest rate, the longer it will take. Now, this is a super cool trick to use when figuring out how long it's going to take you to double your money. But it's important to note that this rule doesn't factor in inflation, it doesn't factor in taxes, and it also doesn't factor in any fees. So it's a good idea to keep that in mind. So for example, if you have $1,000 and you put it into a savings account that pays you 2% every single year, that $1,000 in today is going to be worth slightly less next year because of inflation. Also, you might have to pay taxes on that interest that you earn. So it's important to keep all those things in mind when figuring out how much you need to save every single month or how much you need to invest. But it's still a good idea to use this rule to figure out how long it's going to take to reach your financial goals. Let's say you want to save $1 million. Well, using this rule, you could figure out how long it's going to take you to reach that goal. So let's say you have $1,000, and you want to figure out how long it's going to take to reach $1 million. If you were to use the rule of 72, and let's say you earn 10% every single year, well, it would take you about 72 years. So obviously, most of us are not going to live that long. But it's still good to know that if you start early and save even a small amount of money every single month, over time, it can add up. Here's another bonus trick to show you guys. There's something called the rule of 114. This is similar to the rule of 72, except instead of doubling your money, it's going to triple your money. So all you have to do is take 114 and divide it by whatever interest rate you are earning. And that will tell you how long it will take to triple your money. So for example, let's say you have $1,000 and you invest it somewhere that earns you 6% every single year. If you were to use the rule of 114, you would take 114 divided by 6%. That equals 19 years, so it would take you about 19 years to triple your money. There's also something called the rule of 144. This is going to tell you how long it will take to quadruple your money. So all you have to do is take 144 and divide it by whatever interest rate you're earning. So for example, let's say you have $1,000 and you invest it somewhere that earns you 9% every single year. If you were to use the rule of 144, you would take 144 divided by 9%. That equals 15.5 years. So it would take you about 15.5 years to quadruple your money. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. The rules of 72, 114, and 144 are awesome tricks to know when it comes to figuring out how long it's going to take to reach your financial goals. One of the best ways to use the rule of 72 is when you're deciding between different savings options. Let's say you have $1,000 and you're trying to decide whether or not you should put it into a savings account that pays you 2% every single year. Or maybe you should put it into an index fund that pays you 10% every single year. Well, using the rule of 72 can help you figure out which option is going to make you the most money. So let us say you have $1,000 and you put it into a savings account that pays you 2% every single year. Well, using the rule of 72, you would take 72 divided by 2%. That equals 36 years. So it would take you 36 years for your $1,000 to double. Now let's say you have $1,000 and you put it into an index fund that pays you 10% every single year. Well, using the rule of 72, you would take 72 divided by 10%. That equals 7.2 years. So it would take you 7.2 years for your $1,000 to double. As you can see, the index fund option is going to make you money much faster than the savings account. So that's one of the ways that you can use the Rule of 72. It can help you compare different savings options, and it can help you figure out which one is going to make you the most money. All right, guys, now it's your turn. Comment down below and let me know what interest rate you're currently earning or where you're investing your money. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel where we learn to grow our wealth slow and steady. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, all the best.